Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome to episode 3 of Endless Legend. Since the last video I have had a little mess around in the options and found there's a nice little option that allows you to use a big screen interface. Now it's actually designed for people who are playing on like a TV screen, I guess, if you've got one of those multimedia PCs in the living room. So you can actually see the interface more clearly. Now even though it says it is for big screen TVs, all it essentially does is take the interface and stretch it out to fill the entire screen as opposed to making it sort of a, I don't know, 60%, 70% of that size. So I've left it on big screen because I figure even if you guys are watching it on a smaller screen, it's certainly going to make the text easier to read, particularly as YouTube does tend to butcher the bit rate and make text a little bit fuzzy and blurry. So hopefully now you can see the writing a little bit better on some of these things. So what are we doing? What happened last time? Well, we were producing a settler here in our main city of Avrama. Not too sure where we're going to take that settler at the moment. We do have a few unsettled areas around us. Now, what we do need to be relatively careful of is where's the best place to settle? Do we want to settle directly next to one of our neighbours? Because that would mean we would potentially have some border friction with them. However, it does help to stop them expanding in that direction. We also need to think about the resources that are available in the various different regions. Do we want to colonize a specific region in order to get a specific resource? And also the lesser what do we call them? The lesser factions that are around. Which of the lesser factions, if any, do we want on side? So we do need to have a good little think about that. But I think I'm going to go across over this one here to Moira's, because it is potentially closest. We could then also get another settler and go north, but I think that is going to be the best place there. Don't think there's an awful lot else we can do at the moment. We do have our military unit up here. Doesn't have any movement left at this point. They are healing up a little bit. So we do want to bring them back to the city. Now somebody did mention, somebody actually said in the comments that cavalry units actually have an ability called Charge. Now these Dawn officers do count as a cavalry unit. As you can see just beneath their portrait there, it does say that they are cavalry, even though they don't appear to have horses. And the Charge ability, if you are 5 or more tiles away, allows you to do additional damage by charging in. I always tend to start with my melee units right up in front of the enemy's face, so I need to stop doing that. Now one thing that I hadn't gone into before was this option, which is manage your armies and units. Now this should allow you to see all the details. There we go. Which items can be equipped, so we can certainly equip them with items. It's not really telling me about all the individual abilities and what they mean. Now the reason that I was looking at this screen is because in Endless Space you can actually, when you obviously have ships, you don't have men, but you can upgrade those ships as time goes on, and then you can actually spend money to retrofit all of your old ships. So if I get a tier 2 weapon for these guys, I can then give that to all of the Dawn officers and pay to retrofit them. We've only got this guy at the moment. We don't have any additional equipment, but it's certainly something that we should think about doing in the future. But for the time being, let us end the turn and start to continue with things as they are. Now we're going to move our army back towards the city to collect the settler. That way we can hopefully safely escort it over to where we want to settle. We'll then probably build another settler at some point. Yep, you guys, I'd like you to start moving over here. Might also be nice to come over here and settle to the east as well. Now another thing that I'm going to have to careful with is actually building some more military units, because what's this one? Oh yeah, we've actually managed to produce the 40 science in one city for 10 turns now, so that's one quest finished. Let's get you guys over here into the city and also try and get you healed up as well. Now if we actually look at our quests, which is here, failed complete the second mouse. Did we actually finish that quest? One of the armies roaming has the treasure that you seek. Find the army, defeat it, and make the booty yours. Apparently we got that. I thought that, because I saw 2 mobs, and it was called the second mouse, that we'd have to go and kill the second one. But apparently no, we've finished that. So the only quest that we are on is the sort of main storyline quest, which is fine. I haven't got a problem with that. It would be nice to try and find some more quests, potentially. Settler isn't completed for 1 turn, so let's hit the button. So, winter has now arrived. The dark season has begun. In winter, life and movement are more difficult. So, we get minus 50% movement on our units, which is a real pain. And we get minus 1 production on exploration tiles. We get minus 1 food on terrain with food. Minus 1 dust on terrain with dust. And we also get minus 1 vision to expansions, city tiles, and on units. So, it's a little bit of a pain, but not the end of the world. We have completed the Titan. So we can now build these things. And I think that is the first thing that we're going to queue up. But we do need some more research. And as you can see now, we can see this thing a lot easier. It used to be this size. It's now this size thanks to the big UI. So if we are playing to a science victory, which is what our particular faction is good at, then maybe we should now start to ignore things in the lower tiers and just go straight to the higher tiers. Doesn't mean to say we can't backfill. There may be something that we decide, oh, actually, if we get this, it could be pretty useful to us, like +2 science on terrains with science, because, you know, geomic labs could be pretty useful. Maybe that is something that we should go for, but let's have a look and see what else we do have. So, city improvements, 40 XP when recruiting a unit. Oh, when recruiting an unit on units. I think there's a little bit of an issue with some of the translation in the text for this game. I think there's quite a few typing or translation errors that need sorting out here. Army size. Now, that's actually quite a useful thing. +2 army unit slots on the Empire, +2 garrison slots on the Empire, and an extra accessory slot on unit. That could be actually very, very useful. Management sciences. Now, that gives us 1 production on terrains with forest, and 1 production on exploration, but you'll also notice that it actually costs us 5 resources, which is showing in red, which I assume means we don't have that particular resource at the moment. And there's quite a lot of technologies. Oh, it's titanium. There we go. That one shows there. Unlocks tier 2 weapons made of titanium or glass steel on the Empire. And what have we got down here? Oh, right. To get this one, you actually need a certain amount of can never remember the name of this resource. Approval, or whatever it is. So, I think what we're going to do is go for the army size, because that is going to work like it did in Endless Space, is that an army can only have a limit to the number of units that is in it. And each unit... Where's that settler, actually? Let's just do this first before I forget what I'm talking about. So, let's find the city. There's the settler there. And we are going to New Army. And we are going to merge up, and we're going to start heading in this direction. So obviously we do have the penalty from the winter, but because we've actually got the settler now as part of this army, and it gets the bonus from our hero, it will be able to move a little bit faster. We do need to queue up some production as well, and we're going to go and get ourselves a Titan, because they seem to move pretty slowly, but they've got a lot of defense. So I think that will be, if we're going to use our cavalry as a charge unit, then having something like this that we can fight with from the back would be very useful. So let's go ahead and end the turn there. And we need to go and see where would be a good spot to settle. At least the turns are processing fairly quickly. So we've got that village there. We do need to be careful. There are enemy units around. So again, we do also need to be careful of those as well. Can we move another tile? Yes, we can, but we're better off staying there. Let's just end the turn. See what happens. Right, they've moved away from us, which is potentially good. So we need to consider where in this region we're actually going to go and set up our new city. What are these guys? Roaming armies. Do we even know what they are? Justicars, Sisters of Mercy. cavalry slayer. You're going to be careful with those. But before we go and deal with them, like I said, we do need to settle this city. So let's select our army. Let us click the settle city button. And at least we now get a little bit of a view for some of the tiles that are available. Not an awful lot of food around here, sadly. Although there is an awful lot of science on this particular tile there, as is that one. The only thing that's concerning me around here is the lack of food, because it's a very tundra tile. There again, though, it is the middle of winter. And winter does end in a turn or two. So maybe what we want to do with this army is just, well, we'll end the turn. And when winter goes, we might have a better idea of the food that's available. There we go. Winter doesn't last very long, which is good. Summer has returned. We're in a battle as well, which is going to be a little bit of a pain. So we do need to be careful here, because we need to try and keep our settlers alive. And we've got these 2 justicars to deal. Now, we should essentially be able to take them out. So let's go for it. We do want to try and protect our settler, if we can. So let's have a look at what we've got. This is our Marines, which is a ranged unit. We're going to put you there. Going to keep the settler as far back as possible. Now you're also a ranged unit. We're just going to keep all of our units as far back as possible and try and... I don't think we're going to be able to manage this charge with the Dawn officer here. I suppose we could put them there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They may be able to charge in. But my main concern here is the settler. So I'm going to sort of hide the settler behind our hero there. Okay, so let's go for ready. Now, another thing that someone did point out to me, and I do know that this is something that you can do, it's just I've never bothered with, is you can actually select a unit before the fight phase and right-click on an empty tile and actually tell that unit to queue up movement into that tile. And then I believe you can actually then tell them to, by holding control, tell them to fire. So instead of selecting these Marines and saying fire at these units, I can say to these Marines, on your next turn, you want to start to move towards this tile and then fire at that unit. So that is quite a useful thing, but we are ranged, so we can just fire from a distance, which is probably what we will do. So let's go ahead and keep everything crossed. See, there's the charge going in. So we should get some additional damage there. Bear in mind these units do have Cavalry Slayer, which is why they've just done a massive amount of damage to us and taken very little in return. There's another massive amount of damage on that unit, which is a little bit bad. But we do need to try and wipe them out. Not sure why the Marines needed to move forwards for that one. Okay, well, we've done a fair bit of damage there. We're just trying to keep the settlers safe. It should work out. You guys may as well try and finish them off, and everybody else goes for these. That makes the most sense. We might lose this unit here. Oh, well, the damage is even. We did survive, but these guys get their go. They're not attacking these guys, which is nice for me. They do a lot of damage. Well, they seem to have quite a lot of protections, although I think that's the end of it. Yeah, all of their units are dead, which is good. Our settler survives. So we don't have to worry about them too much more. Let's go and get rid of that. So let's move a little bit. Let's select the army first. Let's move a little bit further into this area. Did we explore those ruins? I think we did. Yeah, we must have done. Okay. Yeah, it's probably this city here, isn't it? Sisters of Mercy. Yeah, that's where they're coming from. I'll have to go and deal with them at some point. So let's have a look at settling a city. There you go. You can see we do actually have more food available now on tiles. So that could potentially be a useful tile. I'm just not sure if building a city on top of like these moss pearls would give us the moss pearls themselves. Although it is just an anomaly. It's not actually a resource. So maybe that is a really good place to settle on. It doesn't appear to have any negative effects. So let us settle there. I think that's a relatively good location. And we do have... what are these? Just emeralds? Emerald deposit, yeah. So we do have a luxury resource close by as well. So good. We do need to take out these Sisters of Mercy, though, so that is something that we must consider. There's so much to do here, really. So, of course, we need to assign production to our new city. What are we going to build here? Well, what would be useful to build here? We could do with some more units, but I think having seed storage to get the food going is probably going to be useful. It's going to take an awful lot of turns to be able to do. Although building anything here is going to take an awful lot of turns. So let's go ahead with the seed storage. We could put our 1 population here to increase the production, which gets it down to 10 turns. And we can spend a little bit of money on that, actually, and just get it down to a single turn, and then queue up something else, the mill foundry, to get a bit of extra production. That seems like a sensible option. So let's go ahead and end that turn. The only problem is with this large interface is it does tend to overlap things sometimes, so that happens. Okay, the seed storage is done, which is fantastic. I'm half considering just, yeah, we might just insta-buy that Titan there. So what are we going to get over here? Well, we've got the Bose, of course. So what would happen here is we could queue this up, because we've already subdued the Bose village down here. And what this will basically do is it will give us various bonuses depending on the minor faction. So for the Bose, we would get plus 5% unit production cost reduction on the city. We get plus 1 pacified village on the Empire. And we get 1 population on the cities and expansion. So we actually get essentially a free population from that city. So we are going to go ahead and do that, because it's also part of what we need in order to get our next quest done. So that is that sorted. I think we're just going to leave the army here to recuperate for a turn, particularly if we can get that Titan over there. So our Titan should be complete. There he is. New army. Let's have a look at this. Let's move him out to a tile. He's probably got quite slow movement, but this guy looks absolutely terrifying. So he should be good. So let's move him over and join the main armies. Now, one thing I did notice with this game is the actual camera angle. I mean, as you zoom in, the viewing angle is very, very low. I suppose it's just designed so you can see how good the units look. But sometimes I wish you could actually rotate the camera just a little bit. I know you can't rotate it on most games like this. So, for example, you can't rotate the units or the camera on Civilization, but Civilization's a fixed viewpoint. Even though you can zoom in and out, it's almost a sort of a top-down view, so you can always see everything quite clearly. I see here that 1 or more units in our Empire have gained a level. It's actually our Dawn Officer. So if our Dawn Officer's actually gained a level, what does that mean we can do with him, if indeed we can do anything with him? Doesn't appear we can do an awful lot. We don't have any equipment to give them. So here we are. You can actually design new units. And the way you design a new unit is you take a base unit and you select it. And then you can actually choose which weapons and equipment that they can use. And you can actually upgrade them that way. So what we could do, for example, is we could take our ranged units here, our Marines, and we could, for example, give them a tier 2 bow, which would allow them to do more damage. At the same time, we could also give them a tier 2 shield. And then what we can do then is we need to give it a name. Let's just learn to type and call them Better Marines. And we can validate that unit. And that now gives us a different unit type that we can build. But what we can also do, though, is we can take our current Marines and we could retrofit the units. It says they don't have a more advanced design, which is odd because they kind of do there. Maybe we have to edit the existing one. Maybe that's the problem. So if we give you the tier 2 stuff like that and apply. Yes, now we can retrofit units, and that costs us 33 dust. But let's do that. And now these Marines get updated with the better equipment. So I can go ahead and just Well, I can still keep the bed of... Well, I don't need the bed of marines now because we've actually edited the new marines. So you've got the option of doing that, and we can do it with any units we have unlocked. So we could take the Titan, and we could just look at it. It's a menacing thing. And we could go ahead and we could give it, you know, some different items. And we will be doing this as time goes on. But we're not going to mess around too much of that at the moment because armies are expensive enough as it is. And then we'll go and take out those Sisters of Mercy. We also need to go and wipe out that camp up there as well. Now, I'm not sure what else they can do, although they have leveled up. Construction recently completed in the Empire. Oh, yep, we've completed the Titan. I thought we actually queued this one up. Oh, yeah, we hadn't actually clicked on the village. There's my bad there. So I actually have to click where I want it to build, which is there. There we go. Now it's queued up. After that, what are we going to do? We could have an Empire Mint. That would significantly give us some more dust. Though I think having a sewer system could be useful because it would give us some additional influence or whatever it's called. Although we could expand the city. It does give us a little bit more unhappiness and -1 food on the city tile, but it does give us a little bit more science. So what we could actually do is expand this main city. So if I was to click on Borough District, I can then choose one of these tiles to expand, and we can move out in another direction. So is there any good tiles close by that we'd kind of like to get? Because there's quite a bit of science around on these little hill tiles. Quite a bit of food down there as well. Although we are slightly out of reach. I think we might go for this tile here. It'll get us 2 science and 2 dust from that tile. We'll also get 1 food from both of these, 3 science and 1 production. So let us click that tile. And then we will expand our city in a few turns. But that is something that we will cover on another video. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope you're still enjoying Endless Legend. And I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye for now.